You woke up 8 hours ago, but you're already counting down the minutes until you can crawl back into bed. You've had 3 coffees, a full night's sleep, and a relaxing weekend, and yet that crushing, invisible weight in your chest hasn't moved an inch. Most people tell themselves they're just lazy or unmotivated, but the reality is far more dangerous. Right now, your brain is likely entering a neurological survival mode, systematically shutting down your emotional regulation and cognitive processing just to keep you upright. This isn't common fatigue, it's a high-level red alert from your nervous system that most people ignore until it's too late to reverse. Over the next few minutes, we're stripping away the tired labels to reveal the 10 silent killers of your mental energy, including one specific symptom that 90% of high achievers mistake for a personality flaw. If you've been feeling detached, cynical, or like your brain is wrapped in a thick, suffocating fog, you're standing on a ledge you didn't even know existed. Pay very close attention to sign number 4, because it is the exact point where stress transforms into permanent long-term burnout. Your body is trying to tell you something that could save your career and your health, but only if you know how to decode the signal before the lights go out.
Defense, defense! Shoot it, you missed!
To understand why you're feeling this way, we have to look at the cognitive battery theory. Unlike your smartphone, which gives you a clear percentage and a low power mode warning, your brain is an expert at hiding its own depletion. It masks the damage with surges of adrenaline and cortisol, pushing you to keep going until you hit a wall you never saw coming. You aren't just stressed, you're experiencing a state of physiological bankruptcy. Think about your brain like a high-performance engine. Most of us have been redlining that engine for months, maybe even years. We've ignored the check engine light so many times that the bulb itself has finally burned out. Now, the damage is happening deep under the hood, in the areas of your brain responsible for empathy, logic, and long-term planning. This isn't just about having a busy schedule, it's about cognitive load. The sheer volume of micro-decisions, digital notifications, and emotional labor you perform every single hour of every day. When this load becomes too heavy, your prefrontal cortex, the CEO of your brain, begins to go offline. This is why you can no longer decide what to have for dinner, or why a simple 3-sentence email feels like a monumental task you need to procrastinate on for 3 days. You feel like you're walking through waist-deep water every single morning. The world feels louder, brighter, and more intrusive. You start to isolate, not because you've become antisocial, but because other human beings represent stimuli that your nervous system can no longer afford to process. Your brain is literally closing the shutters to keep the remaining light from going out. But here is the most chilling part of this entire phenomenon, and it's the truth that most productivity gurus and hustle culture influencers will never tell you. You cannot time manage your way out of a nervous system collapse. In fact, for many of you watching this right now, the very act of trying to fix your exhaustion is the exact thing that is keeping you trapped in it. You think the solution is more efficiency, more discipline, or a better morning routine. But what if I told you that your pursuit of getting better is actually the primary fuel for the fire that is consuming you? The first silent killer is decision paralysis. When your cognitive battery hits zero, your brain stops prioritizing. Choosing between a green or blue pen suddenly feels as high stakes as signing a $1 million contract. You aren't being dramatic. You are literally out of processing power. Your prefrontal cortex has effectively gone on strike. But while your logic is failing, something far more corrosive is happening to your actual personality. Sign number 2 is emotional flatlining. You stop feeling the highs, and strangely, you stop feeling the lows. You've become a ghost in your own life, watching yourself move from a distance. This isn't calmness. It's a psychological safe mode designed to prevent a total system crash. But when you stay in safe mode for too long, you lose the ability to reboot. And that leads directly to a physical symptom most people blame on their environment instead of their brain. Sign number 3, sensory hyperreactivity. Suddenly the sound of a coworker chewing or the hum of the refrigerator feels like a physical assault. Your nervous system is so frayed that it can no longer filter out background noise. You're living in a world where the volume is permanently stuck at 11. You think you just need a quiet room, but what you actually need is a new internal regulator. Which brings us to the ledge. Sign number 4. This is the one that destroys careers and ruins reputations. It's the cynical shift. You used to be the one with the vision, the drive, and the empathy. Now, you're resentful. You start seeing every person as a burden and every project as a threat. You mistake this for becoming a realist or growing tougher, but it's actually your empathy center, the insular cortex, physically shrinking from the stress. You aren't getting smarter. You're losing the ability to care. And once that bridge is burned, your brain starts looking for the nearest emergency exit. Sign number 5, sleep without rest. You spend 10 hours in bed, but you wake up feeling like you've been hit by a freight train. This happens because your cortisol levels are so dysregulated that your brain never enters deep REM sleep. You're physically paralyzed, but neurologically you're still running a marathon. You're trapped in a cycle of being tired but wired that no amount of caffeine can fix. In fact, if you're reaching for that 4th cup of coffee right now, you're just pouring gasoline on a house fire. But even this isn't the most dangerous part. As your brain continues to starve for energy, it begins to prioritize survival over truth, leading to the one symptom that makes you lose your grip on reality itself. Sign number 6 is compulsive avoidance. This isn't typical procrastination. It is a neurological flight response. Your brain perceives your inbox or your to-do list as a literal physical predator. You aren't avoiding work. You're hiding from a perceived threat to your survival. Sign number 7 is memory fragmentation. You walk into a room and forget why. You lose your keys, your phone, and your train of thought mid-sentence. When your system is redlining, the hippocampus, the brain's librarian, stops filing new information because it's too busy managing the fire in your amygdala. Sign number 8 is anhedonia, the loss of the ability to feel pleasure. Things that used to light you up, a hobby, a favorite meal, or a conversation with a loved one, now feel like chores. This is the body's way of conserving the last 2% of your battery. It cuts power to the luxury systems of joy just to keep the lights on in the engine room. Sign number 9 is somatic protest. This is when your exhaustion becomes a physical illness. Unexplained headaches, digestive issues, or chronic muscle tension. Your brain has tried whispering for months. Now, it is screaming through your body because you refuse to listen. And finally, sign number 10, the one that 90% of high achievers mistake for a personality flaw, identity erosion. You look in the mirror and don't recognize the person staring back. You think you've become lazy, incompetent, or weak. You tell yourself, I used to be able to handle this. I've lost my edge. This is the ultimate deception of a broken nervous system. It convinces you that your biological limit is a character defect. The core truth you must understand is this. You cannot repair a nervous system in the same environment that broke it. All the productivity hacks and morning routines in the world are just more cognitive load being piled onto a crumbling foundation. The 90% mistake is believing that the solution is more discipline, when the only cure is radical, non-negotiable stillness. To recharge your cognitive battery, you have to stop trying to get better. You have to descend from that ledge of sign number 4 by acknowledging that your brain isn't failing you, it is protecting you. It has forced you into this fog to prevent a permanent shutdown. You aren't losing your mind, you're being invited to reclaim your life. The recovery doesn't start with a new planner or a better coffee blend. It starts the moment you stop fighting your own exhaustion and finally give your nervous system permission to stand down. You're not a machine with a broken part. You're a human being whose survival mode has done its job too well. It is time to tell your brain that the war is over, so the healing can finally begin.
Oh my god, did you see that? He totally fell for it!
The moment you give your nervous system permission to stand down, you stop being a victim of your own drive and start becoming the architect of your recovery. But the world outside this video is still designed to trigger your survival mode. To ensure you don't drift back toward that ledge of sign number 4, You need a consistent reminder of the biological reality we've discussed today. This channel isn't another source of cognitive load, it is your manual for neurological maintenance. By staying connected to these insights, you're building a firewall against the identity erosion that nearly claimed you. If you're ready to trade the check engine light for true clarity and reclaim the person you used to be, join this community of high achievers who are finally choosing health over hustle. The healing has started. Let's keep the lights on together.